When we think about mothers, we think about the person who sacrificed their body, a vessel, to care for and nourish us from the moment that we came into existence. Our mothers love us on a level so deep that only a mother could understand. They teach us and they protect us at all costs. Our mothers are our home, our safe place. They say there's no love like a mother's love. As a mother myself, I often find myself wondering how I could possibly love my child more than I already do. And every day, my love somehow finds a way to grow deeper than I ever thought possible. While I'm not a perfect parent and I'm still learning so much about parenthood, I'm doing my best. Aren't we all? Unfortunately, the answer to that question is no. There are people in this world that are just plain evil. It's almost impossible to fathom how someone could systematically torture and starve their young child to death with no remorse. At least, not until they face the consequences of their heinous actions. This is the truly horrific and heartbreaking case of Timothy Ferguson.
He's been wearing really loose clothes the last couple of weeks.
He's really skinny.
He's really skinny, and I didn't notice till this morning because he wouldn't, I asked him if he's okay, and he would not answer me. He's 15. He's been...
He has autism?
Yeah.
Like a high functioning?
Yeah. I had no clue how bad it was. Oh my God. Like I said, he did this back in, my husband's stroke was January 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
So he did this back in, second week of January for almost 3 weeks. And then he ate something last night. I can't remember what it was now, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Where's your husband now?
He's down at his parents' house because he can't get in our house because of his drunk. He can't get up the stairs.
Oh.
And nobody's answering the phone at their house.
Timothy was 15 years old when he passed away as a result of the torture he endured from his mother, Shanda Vander, and his older brother, Paul Ferguson, who was 20 years old. Timothy was autistic and had speech and motor impairment, and because of this, he was homeschooled.
Let's talk about your brother Timothy for just a little bit. Did Timothy have some special needs?
Yes.
What was your understanding of what his special needs were?
He was attention deficit hyperactive disorder, as well as autistic. He had speech and motor impairments.
Speech and what type of impairments?
Motor impairments, movement impairments.
Movement impairments?
Yes.
And at the time that he came to live with you, was he supposed to be taking some medication?
Yes.
And did he stop taking his medication?
Yes.
Why did he stop taking his medication? I guess the better way of saying it is, who made the decision for him to stop taking his medication?
Shanda.
As far as you know, from the time that Timothy came to live with you in May of 2021 in Norton Shores to the time of his death, did you ever see Timothy go to a doctor?
No.
Did Timothy go to school?
Not public, no.
How was he schooled?
Home.
When we say homeschool, what would that entail?
At first it was assignments on a tablet, and then my mother restricted it to where she would print out the assignments and he would sit downstairs and do them.
So he never went to school and never went.
In 2012, Shanda was under investigation for previous substantiated child abuse in Oklahoma, but was able to evade having her parental rights terminated by agreeing to vacate the family home. Shanda would go on to have 18 different addresses across multiple states before settling in Norton Shores, Michigan in 2021. It was here that she passed the bar and began working as a legal clerk. Timothy was previously living with his father, and they moved to Norton Shores in May of 2021. And in January of 2022, Timothy's father suffered a stroke. Because of this, he had to move in with his parents in Florida. This left Timothy in Shanda's care. Shortly after this was when the abuse began. Shanda had 3 boys living under her roof: Timothy, his older brother Paul, and a 7-year-old younger brother. She kept constant surveillance of her boys via 5 different surveillance cameras in the home. She would use these cameras to communicate with Paul while she was at work, instructing him on how to handle Timothy through the speakers or through texting him.
Police have indicated at the time they searched her residence, there were a number of cameras seized, as well as some other items. So let's talk about the cameras first. What was the purpose of the cameras being inside the residence?
To watch Timothy.
And who would be watching Timothy on those cameras?
My mother, or when she couldn't, she had me do so.
And how is it that you would, kind of explain for the jury if you can, how is it that you watched the cameras so you could watch what Timothy was doing?
I would log into the app on my phone, and it would alert me if there was a motion movement.
So you had you had your phone and you had some type of app on there that was connected to those cameras?
Several, yes.
And you said that you were also alerted to movement. Were there motion sensors in the home?
Yes, and the cameras also had that feature as well. They activated on motion.
Timothy's bedroom was a glorified closet located underneath the staircase in the basement. He had a mattress and a tarp. Shanda says Timothy tore the mattress apart, leaving him with only a tarp for any kind of comfort in his tiny so-called bedroom. Shanda kept a lock on and armed Timothy's door at night. She would go on to claim that at night Timothy would get up and wake everyone up in the household, and that's why she did this.
Where did he actually sleep most nights?
In the closet.
And what did you call the closet? Was there a name you used to refer to the closet?
The small room.
And what was in the small room if Timothy was in the small room?
There was a camera monitoring him, even when he slept.
Was there an alarm on the door as well?
Yes, sir.
Some type of motion sensor or alarm?
Motion,
Shanda and Paul organized their work schedules so that they could keep Timothy under constant surveillance. Shanda would instruct Paul on how to torture Timothy, often telling him to keep Timothy awake by making sure he was uncomfortable and throwing cold water on him. She made sure to keep the light on in Timothy's closet to make it more difficult for him to fall asleep. If Timothy was caught sneaking food from the kitchen, he was forced to vomit. Eventually, Shanda installed locks on the refrigerator doors to prevent Timothy from eating. Along with forced excessive exercise and prolonged standing, Shanda began starving Timothy as punishment. He was regularly restrained with zip ties and handcuffs.
Did there come a point in time where you became involved in having to administer some discipline to your younger brother, to Timothy?
Yes.
We'll talk about some specifics, but we've already had some text messages read, and you've had an opportunity to kind of hear about some of those text messages throughout this, right?
Yes, sir.
And you sent text messages back and forth between yourself and your mother. And we have those text messages from January through the time of your brother's death in July of 2022. Is that your understanding?
Yes, sir.
At some point in time in February, there's a discussion fairly early in those text messages about blocking Timothy's access to food. Can you describe what was happening at that time and how he was restricted from getting access to food?
He was sneaking food that was not necessary at that time, and it was solved by placing locks on the fridge, freezer, and pantry.
And when you say he was sneaking food that wasn't necessary, who would make that determination that it wasn't necessary?
Shanda.
And what type of food are we talking about that he would sneak that wasn't necessary?
Sweets or anything he could really get his hands on.
So as early as February, there was restriction. The locks were going on the freezer and the refrigerator, and you said there was also some type of lock on the pantry. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And we've heard a text exchange, but at some point a little bit later, as things are progressing into April, was there a time where Timothy was doing something to get the locks off of the pantry door?
He was pulling them off by hand.
And what were you instructed to do as a result of him pulling the pantry door locks off? Let me ask you this way: were you given some instruction to replace that lock?
Yes.
And who gave you that instruction?
Shanda.
And what was your understanding of why you were locking the pantry back up?
Because he was sneaking food.
Basically, from January, from the time of the stroke moving forward, was Timothy allowed to even leave the house?
No.
When, if ever, was he ever allowed to go outside?
To walk the dogs sometimes.
And when he would walk the dogs, where was it that he would walk the dogs?
In the backyard, out of sight.
Was there ever some physical discipline that was involved with him being outside as well?
Yes.
What was that discipline?
He was made to run up and down the patio stairs.
And those are stairs in the back of your house?
Yes, sir.
Are those visible at all from the front of the house?
No, sir.
Visible to anyone walking by on the street or driving by, anything of that nature?
No, sir.
There are some text messages referenced in there where there's a discussion about doing the stairs chasing style. What is that, if you remember?
Following close behind him to ensure he moves faster.
And who would be the one that would chase him if that was taking place?
I had to.
And was there something placed on his wrist as well at any point?
Handcuffs, and before that, zip ties.
Along with starvation, Timothy was only allowed to eat bread soaked in hot sauce when he was allowed to eat anything at all.
At some point in time, were you asked to start feeding him bread with hot sauce on it?
Yes.
And who asked you to do that?
Shanda.
Why were you giving him bread with hot sauce on it?
Because he was supposedly misbehaving.
And how would you, describe to the jury what you would do to do that and to make him eat the bread with hot sauce?
I would put it on bread, have him stand in the kitchen area near the back door and watch him eat until he finished.
And was he required to eat it until it was all gone?
Yes, sir.
Did it ever look like he wanted to eat the bread with hot sauce?
No.
Were there times where you were told that he could have something besides bread with hot sauce on it if he ate the bread with hot sauce first?
Regular bread, yes.
So he had to eat that bread with hot sauce first, and then he could have some regular bread.
Yes.
Did he have to wait a period of time before he could eat the regular bread, though?
Yes, sir.
What do you remember about what that was? About how long?
30 minutes?
So if he was to eat, Shanda made sure he was still as uncomfortable as she could possibly make him. Paul claims he was under the instruction of his mother and he was just doing what he was told. And while it seems Paul might have some issues of his own, he did refuse his mother's instructions one time. She instructed Paul to pour hot sauce on Timothy's genitals as punishment, and Paul refused. But he did proceed to follow her instructions by taunting a very weak and lethargic Timothy with a frozen pizza roll to see if Timothy was still coherent. When and if Timothy reached for the pizza roll, Paul was instructed to pull it away. Shortly before Timothy's death, Shanda and Paul noticed he was shaking and struggling to walk, but they dismissed these symptoms as fake. The day before he died, Timothy was incoherent and unable to respond. Shanda told Paul to put Timothy in an ice bath, a form of punishment often used to torture Timothy. Paul put Timothy in that ice bath, and Timothy remained in that ice bath for up to 9 hours. Paul would go on to hit Timothy several times and dropped him on his head after taking him out of the bathtub. Timothy died the following morning from extreme dehydration, malnourishment, and hypothermia. His body was covered with bruises and marks. It was at this time that Shanda was forced to call the police. When they arrived at the home, it was clear that there was something wrong. Police immediately noticed the locks on the refrigerator, and the home itself was out of sorts.
I knew I should have made him eat, but he just was. Did you notice it was covering up with big clothing? You didn't notice, never mind. I love you, dear, but you never noticed it.
Shanda kept reiterating that Timothy was on a hunger strike and that she should have made him eat, and that she noticed that he was wearing baggy clothes.
Did you know that he was in this hunger strike?
Did I tell you or not? I don't know if I did or not.
Because you see skin and bone.
I know, and how did he?
He's really.
Around the time of Adam's stroke. To your knowledge, did Timothy ever go on a hunger strike when Adam had his stroke?
No, sir.
There's also a reference to him going on another hunger strike about 2 weeks before he passed away. Did that happen?
No, sir.
When police saw Timothy's body, it was clear to them that something more sinister was going on. When they tried to question Paul, his mother kept jumping in and would answer for him. In the police body cam footage, I can't help but feel like the crying is so forced and not genuine at all. Every time she stops to speak to the police, it sounds like her crying, her fake crying, is almost put on pause. And it really hits me it really rubs me the wrong way.
I'm coming over to talk to you, okay? You have another son inside the house?
I do. Yeah.
Are they sleeping still right now?
One of them is, yeah. The
Oh.
20-year-old's awake.
He's 20?
No, the 20-year-old's awake.
Okay.
He's been wearing really loose clothes the last couple of weeks.
He's really skinny.
He's really skinny, and I didn't notice till this morning because he wouldn't, like, I asked him if he's okay, and he would not answer me. Like, he's 15. He's been...
He has autism?
Yeah.
Like a high functioning?
Yeah.
During this entire time that Timothy was being tortured, his older brother Paul, who assisted their mother in punishing Timothy, was posting all kinds of videos online of him eating different kinds of candy, ramen noodles, and cheeseburgers, all while his younger brother was slowly dying of starvation at his hand. According to Law and Crime, Timothy dies in a small closet under the basement stairs, what amounted to his room, and his mother called him pathetic amid his final moments. In some of Timothy's last moments with his mother, he was struggling to breathe, only able to take heavy breaths through his open mouth. When Shanda noticed this, she placed her hands over his mouth, forcing him to breathe through his nose. And when she did this, she said to him, "See, dummy, you can breathe through your nose." This 15-year-old boy did not deserve the life that he was living. There isn't a world where any of this makes sense, but unfortunately, this is the world that we live in. Timothy spent less than 7 months with his mother being brutally tortured before passing away, weighing only 69 pounds, with his ribs clearly visible under his skin. Timothy had 2 older siblings, a brother and a sister. They did not live in the home and they didn't know what was going on. Here's what they had to say.
I regret not putting aside my differences with Shanda and Paul just to check in on him. I regret not dancing with him the last time I saw him at our brother's wedding. These are the things that I can't remedy now. There's no fixing what's been done. No way to redo it all over again. And that's my regret. That I couldn't protect him when he needed me most.
Timothy wasn't surrounded by people who loved him when he died. And if I had known that, nothing could have stopped me from rescuing him and holding him in my arms and telling him I love him, that his big brothers got him, just like I did the day he was born. But because of Shanda Vanderrock's actions, I instead got to cradle the bag of his ashes in my arms.
Paul, now 21, was charged with 3rd-degree child abuse, and he is scheduled to be sentenced on February 26th of 2024. Shanda received a sentence of life without the possibility of parole for felony murder. She also received an additional 50 to 100 years for 1st-degree child abuse, and the judge applied 575 days of time served to both charges. At the end of the hearing, the judge had some powerful words to say, and I will leave you with this.
I'm choosing not to remember your son dead, looking like a Holocaust victim, but I'm choosing to remember like that. And you can't even look at him. That's how he was. A beautiful child with a lot of life in his eyes. That's who your son was. And you took that from him. I'm choosing to remember him as a happy individual with life, not as an individual. And that's the picture I want people to remember of your son. You took that from him. You took it from him. For what reason, I don't know. Mr. Johnson's right. There is something broken in you. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't negate what you did here. So, besides remembering him like that, I'm not going to let you hide in the darkness anymore. People know what you are now. They know what you did. You're not able to hide in the darkness anymore. Timothy won. And he won because we know what you did to him now. It's not hidden anymore. We know who you are. That's the way that I'm going to honor him. You don't win because justice, thank God, in this case prevailed. I can't even imagine if you had been able to resuscitate him. He'd be still suffering. So if there's anything I'm grateful for, would be that he finally passed away so you couldn't continue to torture him like you did.